Hello. How are you? This is Mitzi of Love Children Restored. How you doing today? I'm back. Still working out the voice thing. Got a little bit of cough, but I'm back. So welcome to Love Children Restored. My name is Mitzi, and my business name is Love Children Restored. Love Children Restored is based on First Peter 2:9 that God called me out of darkness. My mission statement is to encourage and empower others that you can recover from any storm. And I mean that literally after what I just went through for this past week, actually Tuesday, this past Tuesday made a week of when I just got ill all of a sudden. It just came on, uh started slow and then just progressed. But I just want to thank you all of y'all, thank you all of my subscribers, thank you for all 158 of my subscribers and counting. And I definitely want to thank my new subscriber. I have her name written down. Is Lux Designs by Lydia Inez. Thank you so much, Lux Designs by Lydia Inez. Thank you for joining Love Children Restored. I'm not sure why you're here or why you chose me, but I'm always so thankful for people joining. And I do a little bit of everything here. I am an author. I'm a wife, mother, grandmother, a sexual assault survivor, and advocate. I give back to my community. I'm a community partner. We go and do things for girls, and now look like I'm going to be doing some things for guys. So, but I'm glad that you're here, and thank you and welcome. So yes, guys, I'm here. I actually have my laptop up here going too because remember, I think the last time I was on camera, I was talking about I was sharing that my heart attack anniversary was coming up. I had suffered a heart attack on January 20th of 2020. It was MLK Day that day, and the 4-year anniversary was coming up when I left from, all of a sudden uh, getting sick with, I didn't know what I had, but, I really thought it was probably the C-19 or the flu or something. But when I went, it was none of those. It wasn't that. It wasn't the flu. It wasn't pneumonia. It wasn't RSV. It was called acute bronchitis. So I'm on antibiotics and stuff for it now. I'm feeling better literally each day. Like today, I feel better than I did yesterday and the day before that. That's just how it has been. So they said by Saturday, I should feel like myself once all of the medication is gone. So we'll see. I've been faithfully taking it too. I've been faithfully taking it. But just in case, I have my tissues here. I have a bottle of water here. And actually, I had a little kid Sprite. So yeah, I have some goodies here just in case. But yes, I wanted to talk about when I had the heart attack because I feel that um, for women, women, we're always so busy and taking care of our families and taking care of our spouses and taking care of at work and the signs we can get the warning signs, and a lot of times the signs you'll look at it as something just that little thing don't bother me. Oh, that's not anything. But I mean, the signs are very faint for women, and the warning signs for a heart attack for women and men, it actually differs. So what I have is called coronary arteriosclerosis. I know I'm trying to say that 3 times, right? So arteriosclerosis occurs when the blood vessels that carry oxygen and nutrients from the heart to the rest of the body, the arteries, become thick and stiff. So I'm reading this over here on my laptop. Sometimes restricting blood flow to the organs and issues. Healthy arteries are flexible and elastic, but over time, the walls and the arteries can harden, a condition commonly called hardening of the arteries. And I have a genetic. My mom passed away of a heart attack. My grandma passed away of a heart attack. My mom had the same form of heart disease as her mother. I also have it myself, and my grandfather died of heart disease. So I have several siblings that's had issues with it as well. So what happened with me back then, I was um I was serving at church like that Sunday before Martin Luther King Day. I was serving at church. I serve on the greeters ministry, and I remember feeling like excited. Like the only way I can describe it, like I described it to the cardiologist, is that it was like as if I had this anticipation of opening a gift. Like, oh, I was excited about something, like I just got a new pair of shoes or what have you. It just like this excitement would come and then it would leave. It would come and then it would leave. And it went on like all day. I remember being at church and I was having a conversation with this lady. We were actually talking about we were talking about hair, her and I. In the midst of our conversation, I had got the that excitement, and and it left. And I was like, "This is so odd." I'm saying to myself in my head as I'm having this conversation with her. So what I did is I excused myself, and I'm thinking in my head, like, okay, I didn't even eat. I just ran because I was running late for church. So I didn't even eat that day. So I just ran out and just, ran to church. But in back of the church for us servants, they have like coffee and juices and pastries. They have a nice little break room for us. So I went back there, grabbed some break, I grabbed a coffee and a little something to eat because I hadn't eaten anything, and it was still. But then the rest of the day, I realized I was really tired. It was like an unusual tired because I had just shared with someone that, oh, when I leave church, I was going to Home Goods. I love Home Goods. And so I was so tired as I was sitting there, I was saying, I'm going home and take a nap. I ain't going to Home Goods. That's what I was thinking to myself. Left church at like about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I got home. I literally got into bed, just, took off my clothes, crawled into bed, and I slept. I didn't wake up till my husband came home from work. He came home about 8 o'clock that night, and he was like, "Why are you in here with all the lights off?" I was like, "Oh, I was so tired." I was sharing with him that I was, telling him I keep getting this excitement and I feel so tired. It would just come and go in my chest, and so I had bought some new vases. And he had said, maybe you're still excited because you got those vases the other day. And I was like, no, it wasn't that. Um, but yeah, so I was having that. That was Sunday night. It, I had this stuff in my chest all that Sunday night. And then the next day was the holiday, happy to have a 3-day weekend. So I said I was going to get up, I was going to go to Home Goods. That's what was my plan. I got up early. My husband was like, "Where you going?" I said, "I'm going to Home Goods." But when I woke up, my whole body was swollen on my left side. It was like my cheek, my arm, my hands, my leg, my foot. My foot was like really swollen. And I thought it was the way I slept. I was thinking maybe I was sleeping, on my left side. I was like, man, I slept on my left side. I didn't, I'm just thinking that's all I can think is that it was the way that I slept. So here I am, still getting in the shower to get ready to go to Home Goods. I'm in the shower and I begin to pray. And I begin to pray in the Holy Spirit. And God told me so clear. It was so clear. I get emotional. It was as if He was, in the shower with me to tell me to go to the hospital. It was so clear. And it was so, I'm one of those, when God speaks to me, I just act. I act. it was just like I had no other choice but to. I got out the shower. I literally threw on my clothes, no lotion, no deodorant, nothing. Threw on my clothes and went out the door. Jumped in my car and went to the hospital. I got to the hospital and I didn't tell my husband at the time. My son was still living here. My son, he lives on his own now. We're empty nesters here, but at the time he was still living here. I didn't tell him. I didn't tell my husband. I just literally walked in obedience, threw my clothes on, went to the hospital. I get to the hospital. I'm at the front desk and I'm saying to the lady, when you check in, you have your ID, you have your insurance card. I'm telling her about some of the, I woke up, this side of my body is swollen, da da da. And they rushed me to the back. Like she didn't even, like, she took my stuff, but like usually, they have you sign whatever. She took me straight to the back and they started asking me all these questions. The doctor came in and he was looking me over. He was looking in my eyes and like in my pupils. And he's talking to me about family history, stuff like that. And next thing I know, they're placing all the things on my chest to check my heart. He said, "You're having a heart attack." I was like, "What?" He was like, "Yes, you're having a heart attack." He said that we're actually going to put you in, because the hospital I went to was one not far from my house, but it's a smaller hospital. So he said, "We're going to put you in an ambulance and have you transported to Britain." And I was shocked. I was like, "Are you serious?" I remember I laughing at him, like, "Are you serious?" And he's like, "Yes." And so then he said, "Do you have someone that you can call, that we can call?" You can only imagine this conversation. I'm calling my husband, and he's like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "I thought you went to Home Goods." And I'm like, "No, I'm at the hospital." And I can hear my son in the background, like, "What? What are y'all talking about?" And yeah, so they put me in the ambulance, took me directly to the hospital by myself. I didn't have like a family member there with me. So yeah, let's go over the warning signs. The warning signs of a heart attack. What I was having, they said, was fluttering of the heart. So I just need to put my glasses off a minute. So what they said I was having was fluttering of the heart, but some of the warning signs is like a heavy ache in your back or between your shoulder blades, shortness of breath, sharp pain in your upper body, jaw, back, or shoulder pain. And that was interesting to me because I did have like jaw pain, but never paid mind to it. Like on my left side, I like to eat candy, so I thought I ate some hard candy, but I never even like paid. I never connected jaw pain with heart disease. Breaking out in a cold sweat, again, that could be misconstrued for a woman if you're going through menopause. I'm going on 58 years old, so I'm in menopause. So breaking out in a cold sweat, that just would have been part of menopause for me. I would never looked at that as a warning sign. Another is unusual or unexplained tiredness, and that's what I had. I was tired where like it was like I didn't want to do nothing. Like for me to not go to Home Goods after church, if I had planned and talked about it, yeah, but I was really tired. It was as if I was exhausted. I was like really like exhausted. Another was feeling dizzy or lightheaded. I remember having that one day on my lunch break because at the time that I had this, I was working half days at home and half days in the office. And I remember one day in the office, actually, I was on my lunch break when I was feeling just a little dizzy, just a little lightheaded, and really didn't pay any mind to it. I went and sat down, actually. To be honest, I went and sat down outside just to, take a break. I didn't even realize it. and another is feeling sick to your stomach or nausea or vomiting. And I was going to a time where I really couldn't hold food down sometimes. Just thought it was an upset stomach or the food didn't agree with me. So those are some of the warning signs. And like I said, each warning sign is like something you normally wouldn't, you would, like I said, some of the things was like, oh, that comes with the territory as, a woman in menopause. I'm closer to 60 than 50. But at that time, that was 4 years ago. But still, you know what I mean. So yeah, so I went and they did the surgery. They did the surgery. My husband came up to the hospital. My sister, my sister-in-law, my son, all the family came up and they did the surgery. He went in through my wrist. They went in through my wrist. The surgery was quick, but I was awoke. I wasn't out for the surgery. And the thing about with that is you can feel everything because they'll say, let me know if you feel this, like wiggle your fingers if you feel this, or wiggle this. So that was to make sure you can hear them and that they're doing everything properly. And which is, kind of a thing. I remember I can hear their conversation. I can hear the doctors and the nurses talking. And they were talking actually about a previous patient, um, and it wasn't a nice conversation. I'll just say it like that. It was a very negative conversation they were having about a previous patient. And I heard everything. I heard the entire conversation. And I had to, throughout that, I was like praying and just standing on God throughout the whole thing. And I remember after the surgery, after they moved me back to the recovery, the next day when I felt, much better, I was still in the hospital. And I remember one of the nurses that was part of the surgery team, I did tell her the conversation that I heard, and I didn't think they should have a conversation like that. She said, you heard us? I said, yes, I heard everything. I said, I heard the entire conversation, what each person said, and she apologized. I actually was like really upset at that because, you don't want to hear about another patient and, you know, the patient didn't make it actually. So yeah, it was just an awful conversation. But yeah, so the surgery went well. It wasn't long. It went well. Um, I think I would have to say the hardest part was because it was during right before COVID. So this was January 20th, 2020. And COVID, like really, like I think in March, like that third week of March, when everyone was just sheltering in place, I didn't get cardiac rehab. So it was, you're supposed to go to cardiac rehab to rebuild yourself up. So that was part of something that I had to do on my own, building myself up at home. Building your strength up walking, building your strength up breathing, building your strength up. What I used to do with my husband is we would walk the street. My street, we would go up and down my street once because it affected my left side, and that's what all that swelling was. It affected my left side, so my left side was really weak. It was I had like a gait when I walked. You can see the difference if you knew me. I don't know if you didn't know me, if you can tell, but yeah. So I never did cardiac rehab. It was doing exercises and stuff on my own. I have a boxing thing. Well, you can't tell him. I have a boxing bag and stuff down in the basement. So yeah, so we would it was having to change my eating because the important is good diet, fruits and vegetables, and exercise. I used to be on a lot of medication afterwards. I was on 7 different medications after I had the heart attack. Um, Now I'm down to three, so which is really good. 7 days a week, and I'll be on those for the rest of my life, from what I understand. We're trusting in God for that. Steps to improve heart health. They say no smoking, no alcohol, and of course, exercise and diet is what's to help you. I was never a smoker. I was never a drinker. So those really wasn't my things. Mine was genetically uh, from my mom. So those are some. And then the healing process for me, I would have to say the most challenging healing process is the mental. It's the mental. It's, look, you can heal naturally. You can start back doing stuff you never could do. You can start back lifting stuff you never could lift. Um, but for me, it was the healing process. It was that mental where I always say this, like those quiet times when you're by yourself, when you're thinking about it or reflecting. For me, after I had it, healing process was the toughest for me. And what was good for me, I would have to say, is I had a cousin that had a heart attack. And I remember one time I hadn't had one at this time, and he did. And him and I happened to be talking one day, because I was asking him all kind of questions about how's he doing, how does he continue to move forward? Because we knew, I knew from my mom. My mom had suffered two heart attacks before the one that took her life. And so I knew of, all the aspects of heart disease. So I remember asking my cousin that, and I'll never forget. He'll say, it's the mental. He said, you'll see your funeral in front of you. You'll see how your family is. He said, that'll be your biggest thing to deal with is the mental. He said, the physical, oh yeah, you're going to get by the physical. Oh yeah, changing the diet, that'll be fine. Oh yeah, adding the exercise in, yeah, that'll be fine. He said the mental. So having Christ in your life, being grounded, having somewhere, how I've always said is having someone as an export. Like I don't want to make this all about God, but that's the only thing I can say is had to trust in God, have God to cry to, have God to talk to, have God to get on my knees and trusting in His word. um, Him and I had this conversation, and at this time, it hadn't even happened to me. We were just having a conversation about his, and asking him how does he move forward, and I was teasing him about retiring from work. So, but yeah, so I would say that was the most challenging is the mental, and me not having cardiac rehab, so it was in a sense rebuilding myself up. I would have liked to have did cardiac rehab. They had told me because I tried to. He told me you don't make any sense to do it now. You're fine now, but just I guess just to see, because it was COVID. C-19, we were sheltering in place. You really couldn't go anywhere.